Noah, welcome to the show.
Yeah, what's
It's
up,
good to be
man?
here, guys. It's good to be here.
Noah and I were just talking before we started recording, before you came on, Greg, about how I had to bail on this like awesome boat event that he and AppSumo were throwing in New York. And my excuse was that I was literally having my baby, during the like 2 day window when I think you did that on May 15th. Like the kid was my son was born on May 16th. Like it was like right the next day. But we were talking about how there are these like trump card excuses of getting out of things like being pregnant or like having a baby that you can basically get out of anything and use it as an excuse. And Noah said, like, why aren't we just honest about things and just say, like, yo, I don't want to go to that? So I don't know. What is it, Greg? Why aren't we just honest as human beings when we don't want to do things?
I think people don't want to let other people down. I think like s- people generally want to make other people feel good, and like when you let someone down, it doesn't feel good. So I think it's difficult to be honest. But yeah, I agree with you. I feel like we should we should all be more honest.
I
I'm
do
trying to
think
be more
we
honest. Like,
I think
and
we like in general, when you think about your calendar, like I think this relates to a lot of things. You think about your calendar and how many like emails in your inbox you put off replying to just because you don't want to say no, but really you're just going to say no, you're just delaying it. And it's like someone was just talking to me about this. Rich Handler is his name. He's the CEO of Jefferies, big financial institution. He was saying like the reason people don't reply to their emails right away is because they're delaying the pain of just saying they don't want to do something. And so he's like, I reply right away. And I either say, like, yes, let's do this right now, or no, I'm not going to do that. And it's like a much more efficient way of just getting through the things. And I realized when I thought about it after I went home, when he said it, of like, yeah, that's totally what my email inbox looks like. The reason I'm not always at inbox zero is because I have 25 emails sitting in there that are things where I just don't want to reply to the person to say no.
Do you owe them a reply? Just hit archive. What do you owe them? Is it like your
Yeah, I guess that's true.
stepfather? Like
I
I
guess
think
that's
sometimes
true.
giving them I think it's just having standard protocols makes things easier. Like, hey, I'm only focusing on these three things, so I'm not doing extra meetings right now. Really, really standard makes it easier. It's like, or I'm phone phobic. People love the phone. And it's
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm just phone phobic. Like, it's actually a phobia I have. I can't take I'm scared. I'm scared, man.
I I actually do like the hey, I'm not doing not doing Zoom calls. Love to do it in real life if you make it out to New York. Type thing. Cause I do just like I will meet almost anyone in person because I just so prefer that. But man, doing
Yeah.
Zoom calls, like my threshold now is so high relative to what it was a year ago. Um anyway, I feel like we're on a long tangent,
No, but I
but
think I think the thing you're calling out is a really great point, and just being honest with yourself and like how do you get more alignment in your life, right? And the alignment, what's interesting is like when you had a baby, it was easy to be like, I really don't want to do this, but you're using the baby as a nice buffer to that, or I'm pregnant or COVID or whatever these types of excuses are. COVID's pretty, they're all legit, but it's like, what if you could do if you could just live honestly? Like I had two friends recently, like I don't want to go to these weddings of my other friend. How do I say no? And I was like, you say no. But I think it's also helpful if you're like, hey, I really want to go. You don't want to lie to him. Hey, your wedding sounds promising. I just have a lot going on. Can't make it.
yeah, I do think that like you brought it up a couple minutes ago of like, hey, these are the three things I'm focusing on right now, so I can't take this on. Is a great way of thinking about it. I mean, it all ties into like people feel these inherent like sunk costs almost to going and doing things like, oh, I've always thought about it with like, oh, I booked flights. I had this last year. Like I booked flights to go to this wedding, and then the wedding was coming up and I was swamped with other stuff and I was literally dreading it. But in my mind I was like, oh man, I paid for the flights already, so I gotta go. And the reality was I was just going to go make myself incrementally more miserable by going to this thing. And so then I ended up bailing because I was like, oh, it's actually just a sunk cost. I need to think about this clearly and rationally and just pass on it.
Totally.
But we have all these like embedded reasons for doing things that I do think if you just reset yourself, you can step
Totally.
away from.
I think a lot of it is energy. Like kind of, I think Greg was kind of highlighting it a bit, which is just like, is this increasing your energy and clarity or is it decreasing? And so a lot of times in my week, like I was meeting with our head of marketing at AppSumo yesterday, and I was like, who do you? I'm not gonna call it people, but I was like, who do you meet with during the week that you're like excited about? And you're like, wow, I have more energy and like I feel productive. And who do you not? And there's probably either the meeting is bad or the person is bad. And so on my Sundays and like when I do calendaring on Fridays and Sundays, I'm like, what am I really looking forward to? And is there stuff that I'm just not looking forward to? And there's probably some connection that I don't want to do it. And like just
Yeah.
doing that maybe in all regards.
Yeah, I love that. It's like who energizes your battery and who depletes it.